Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. Welcome to the first episode of what my father taught me Tuesdays. This is a new series we're doing every Tuesday, 6 p.m. EST, where we talk to you about some of the lessons that I've learned through observation, through conversation, and being taught by my father. And I'm hoping that these series of videos will be able to help young men and young nephews, young uncles, and young brothers, sons, to be able to learn and grow in not only their masculinity, but in becoming a man. And some of the things that are important to learn when you have a father figure in your life. On today's episode, we are talking to you today about the male identity or the man identity, or being more masculine in the identity, whichever you want to call it as. I like to settle on just being the male identity. Probably not the good English to say it that way, but we want to focus on that. What did my father teach me about becoming a man and the identity of a man? And there's a whole host of things to discuss on today's episode. So if you are new to the channel, do me a massive, massive favor. Like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there are hot. Now, before we start, do me a massive, massive favor. I can see there's already 30 or so of you guys. Drop a comment in the chat to let me know that you are here, you're ready, and you are available today. Let me know that you're here by dropping a comment in the chat before we go. I don't like to waste much time, so let's jump straight into this particular topic. Again, I appreciate you guys for joining us this live once again. So, talking about this, and I really wanted to talk about these kind of subjects because I saw the manosphere, I saw what they produce in terms of Red Pill, I saw the kind of content they've been putting out over the last few years. And I've seen one of the biggest ones, you want to talk about Kevin Samuels per se, who has been putting out a lot of content that focuses on modern women and and rah. You already know the rest, right? But I thought the reason why he has such power is because of what position he holds in the market, which is he's telling men exactly what they need to hear. Well, just about what they need to hear. I don't want to sugarcoat or fluff or make this a focus about women. I want to address men specifically. Here's why I'm asking for my audience to be able to pass this on, not only to watch it yourself, but to pass it on to your sons, nephews, uncles. Bob's your uncle. All right. So everybody else as a male, pass this to them. Right. And we're going to have this every week. So today's first topic we are talking about, okay, is male identity. Okay, what my father taught me about male identity, or being a man, should one say. Okay, sorry, let me put this here. And being a man, right? What did he teach me about that male identity? Cool, fantastic stuff. First of all, I like to tell a little story. Just to get you to understand a little bit of my pros and where I'm kind of coming from. When I was younger, if you don't know already, I'm Ghanaian, but I'm British born. Okay, so many of you are American. You might, if if you're African American, or should I say you are someone from Africa who's in America, you might also understand this. Being a British born but being Ghanaian of descent, you automatically have a dual identity. You are already torn in two directions. And very much so, you're not sure which side you actually belong to until you make a definitive choice. There are many markers that people use to become identified with. For instance, someone might say, I feel more Ghanaian when I speak the language, or I've been to Ghana several times. I speak to a lot of Ghanaian people. I wear a traditional attire. These might be markers. I eat the Ghanaian food. These might be the markers that say I'm defined by my identity as country of origin or where I'm from, right? Which I think everyone can identify with, having that feeling of wanting to identify with your people. We do it as Black people in general. When we get amongst other Black people, we identify with those people. We feel at home with other fellow Black people. Well, I hope you do. You might not, but most of us do, right? We identify with those other Black people. There is something about being Black that we can all understand, and it doesn't have to be explained. What's understood doesn't have to be explained. Now, there was a situation that happened to me when I was very, very young, probably around about 16. Oh, probably about 14, sorry, 14, 15. And I had moved schools from an all-Black school to an all-white school. And when I was in the school, I remember it was an argument that happened in the boys' changing room, right? Just after PE, one of the Caucasoids came up to me and said to me, we're talking about where you from. I said, I'm from Ghana. He said, no, 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 what area are you from? Because obviously you're not from Northampton. Like, so where are you from? Like the area, you're not from the town. So what town are you from? Oh, I said, okay, I'm from this particular place. I'm from London. He said, why? Oh, yeah, yeah. But why did you say you're from Ghana originally? You're British. And I said to him, I'm not British. He said to me, no, you are British. Were you born here? I said, yeah, I was born here, but I'm not British. He said, but you are because you're born here. I said, no, 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 listen, I'm born here, but I don't identify with here. And he was like, what do you mean? Like, I said, first of all, what's my name? So my name is Kojo. He said, all right, so yeah, but that's besides the point. It's where you're born. I said, no, no, no. I don't identify with the culture of being British. Though I understand it, I don't identify with that particular culture. It's not the food that I eat. It's not where my parents are from. It's not who I even identify with in terms of cultural aspects, in terms of my likes and dislikes. So I don't find myself being British. At the same time, being 15, I also could say I wasn't necessarily identifying with my Ghanaian background. Many kids feel like this. I was an alien. I felt like in between two places. Why am I talking about this particular issue? Because until I decided to choose an identity or craft an identity of my own, I was always in between two. And when the Bible makes it very, very clear, you can't serve two masters. You also can't be dual identity. What I mean by dual, meaning that you must become one. Meaning, even if you take one and take the other and create a new one, you're still one. When you try to do both, you find yourself in a very difficult position. And I find that a lot of men are in that position, undefined, unspecified, and it is undetermined what the identity is as a man. There are several influxes of different voices and different schools of reasoning as to what it is to be a man. And when you don't have your certified, standard, concrete identity of what it means to be a man yourself, you find yourself in limbo. And you find yourself in a very dangerous and precarious place because you are then able to be influenced by every little thing. If you stand for nothing, if you stand for if you stand for everything, I can't remember the term. Y'all know the term I'm talking about, okay? Right? The point I'm trying to make here is solidified identity is quintessential and crucial. Let me give it a definition of what identity is. The fact of being who or what a person or a thing is. The fact of being who or what a person or thing is. What are you? Who are you? That's the question as males we ask ourselves, or as men or boys growing up to being men, we ask ourselves this key question: who am I? What am I? And this search for identity leads us into different places. This is why young men can fall into gangs, because they find themselves in identity with these other young men, regardless of whether they're doing wrong or right, whether we agree or not. They find some level of identity, some association with those people, and they concrete their identity in that group or social group because it makes sense to them. Thus, they form strong bonds with those particular people. They take on their cultural norms, they take on their cultural standards, okay, right? They take on their practices because that is their identity. I'll give you another definition of identity. Identity encompasses the memories, experiences, relationships, and the values that create one's sense of self. And this is a key word. In fact, let me put it on the screen so you guys can also see it. I realize you won't be able to see it, right? So this is really important too, understanding how our sense of worth, okay, plays into it. Let me give you this. Okay. So you guys can also see it. Here we go. All right. Identity encompasses the memories, experiences, relationships, and values that create oneself sense of self, the amalgamation creates a steady sense of who one is over time. Okay. So as you are growing as a young man, you are searching for who you are. So the first question you're asking yourself as a young man is, who am I? And best believe the influences that are in my life, that are in your life as a young man, they are shaping who you are. This is huge. This is why men having influence in a young man's life is quintessential, because young boys are looking for models to model themselves on. The Bible says there is nothing new underneath the sun. We are, as young boys, we are looking up to other grown men to base our model on. Because at our young age, we are not sure of who we are. This is why, as a mother, sister, auntie, niece, whatever, when you experience men, I should say that. I should say just mums. I don't know why I include all the women in there. As mothers, when you have young sons and there is a lack of male influence, if there is someone in your family that is good, that is sturdy, that is loving, that is caring, let that person spend time with that young man. That person who spends time with that young man is more, I don't want to say it's more important than the mum, is quintessential to the identity of that young man. Let me say it that way. What you as a mother can do is not what a father can do or what a male identified figure in his life can do. And I'm not blaming mothers, by the way. I'm just saying, if there is an opportunity there to introduce that male figure, please let that male figure be involved. Whether that is the baby's father, and hopefully he's a good person. He's not a bad person. Of course, we don't want bad influence, right? If they're good influence, I want to say this. Let me break it down really, really quickly. If you have a baby father and he is a decent character, I'm not talking about the fact that he might not pay all the bills, or he might not pay all your, he might not pay for the child and all that kind of stuff. It may seem like you are punishing him by saying, well, if you don't pay, he don't get to see the child. But I'm going to tell you, you are creating a Frankenstein. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. Now, unless he's got a bad character value and he's really bad in terms of his influence, I don't care if he pays enough for child support or not. That young man needs him, because at the young age he's at, he is searching for somebody to model himself on. And if he doesn't find it in his immediate circle, he will find it outside. And you best hope he finds it with somebody that's good. Again, that's not me hitting on just let me not just hit on single mothers. That sounds just on mothers and fathers. Okay, a father figure who works all the time is a type of figure that the son can look up to. But if he does not have emotional connection with that child, the son will only look up to that father to a certain degree. He will still need a role model. Being emotionally deficient leads him to go elsewhere to look for that love. A father's love is very important. Whether it's a father, whether it's a baby father, whether it's a male figure in that life, that young man is forming his identity. It's quintessential. It's so essential for that young man to have that experience and to have a role model in his life. Okay? All right. So let me address this issue here. I like this comment he's made, and it's good that we have some interaction here. Your identity as a man comes from your own mind and actions as the man you think you are. Can anyone tell you you're not the man and you believe them? Yes, absolutely. Where do you think you got your identity of what a man is? There is no such thing as I created this image of me being a man by myself. There's no such thing. You live in a world of socialism where you socialize with other human beings. You live in a world where you take in information every single second. You cannot form an identity by yourself. You form an identity based on other role models. Now, you may take experiences that you have that may shape, and it may improve or take away, or it may, in fact, let me leave it as shape. It shapes your identity. But you have to understand, you have already taken in influences from when you were a baby. You have already taken in the influences from when you were a baby, and that already starts to shape the individual person. So I'm not saying that you can't have your own mind. What I'm saying is that your influences, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, whether you think it or not, whether I think it or not, is already being shaped. Many of us, we talk about on this channel quite a lot about ourselves, about being self-aware, right? When you realize as a man, right? When you realize as a man that you get older and you look back and you're raw, why do I behave like that? Then you look back and you realize you've been influenced and shaped by your experiences of who you've encountered. Nobody is free to be able to not be influenced by what they've had around them, you know? So that's why it's quintessential for young men to have good influences around them. It's important. It's imperative. Imperative. Okay? So let me talk about a little something else just to bring in an idea of what we're talking about today. So I want to tell you first of all, so what my dad kind of taught me. The first thing my dad taught me about my identity is my name. Okay? The very first thing my dad taught me is my name. Okay? My name. My name is a part of my identity. Okay? And this is really important because it really does open your eyes to how you're shaped. Okay? He told me, let me tell you what he told me. He said, I have named you Kojo or Kojo. I've named you Kojo for a reason. I didn't give you, so some of my cousins have dualistic names. Some of them have, let's say, an English name and a Ghanaian name. And I used to ask, why didn't I get like David and then Kojo? Why didn't I get also um why didn't I also get maybe like a George and Kojo? Why didn't I get a Kevin and Kojo? Some of my other cousins got William and they got Michael and they got George and they got these other names and that. And I'm sitting there like, bro, I got Kojo. Nobody even knows the name Kojo. Like at these times in the early 90s, Africans were not cool. So let's keep it a buck. We were not cool. I'm going to be honest with you. We were not cool. Okay? Them times there, we were not cool. Okay? It was Caribbeans that were cool. All right? Caribbeans were cool. You know, and so it is interesting. Uh it's interesting to have this aspect. And I say this because we get named in our if you want to call it the tribe, we get named by the days we're born on. Depending on what tribe you are in terms you know, depending on what tribe you're from in terms of in Ghana, we get named by. So Monday, I got named by, that's Kojo. So because I was born on Monday, it's Kojo, right? And when I used to roll that name, I used to be annoyed at that name. I said, I don't like that name, bro. Like, why can't I have a Kelvin or a Kevin, bro? And my dad said to me, listen, one day you will understand. But for now, you must like your name. And that is your name. And you don't have any other name. He said, I want you to have this name because wherever you go, they're going to know who you are before you even arrive. They're going to know your name before you even arrive. They're going to know where you're from, sorry, before you even arrive. They're going to know what area of the world you're from before you even arrive. So I'm named Kojo, my brother's called Kwesi, my Adwa, and then Ya, right? And what I realized quickly on this aspect, right, was at first I didn't like it. But as soon as I said that name to people, maybe at school or whatever, or your register will come up, they'll be like, oh, I love that name. Where's that name from? And you like, oh, it's Ghanaian, it's da, 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 da. Meanwhile, you are thinking, because what you're what, and this is what I said about identity. I want you to pay attention. This is really key. As a young man, I am looking for my identity. I am looking for my crew. I am looking for my place that I can reside in where I get understood. I felt like my name isolated me from having an identity because I lived in Britain. I grew up in Britain. I was born in Britain, but my parents are Ghanaian descendants, and they are I'm going to call it first generation or second. Am I first generation, second generation? I don't know. Parents came over, and I was born here, so I don't know if you call that first generation or second generation. I can't remember. Right. So what you realize quickly is it automatically put you in a group. The name. Right? Yeah, you get the jokes from school kids, Kojo the Mojo or Mojo Jojo, Coco Pops. People want to rhyme your name with all different things, right? Oh, Kojo, Kojak, sometimes remixing it. Oh, they say so many different things, right? But you don't realize your name is a part of your identity. Now, if you want to have proof of this, biblically, this also is the exact same thing. This is also biblical, right? Biblically, names have such an important basis because they give a definition of who this person is, right? Let me give you an example of that. Um, let me see where it is. Let me get what it is. I want to get you the thing. All right. Genesis. I'm just gonna go to Genesis. Um, I want to give you Genesis. Genesis 3. Is it Genesis 3:20? Yep, Genesis 3:20. Okay, fantastic. Let me bring you onto my screen so you can see it as well, right? Genesis 3:20. I want to tell you about the power and the identity of name. It's a powerful thing, right? Identity of name is so powerful. Okay. All right, fantastic. Okay. The power of the name. Oh, come off this. All right, cool. Here we go. Let's just highlight this so you guys can see it. Okay. All right. Beautiful stuff. I know some of you might not be a Christian or anything like that, but I want you to still take part in what I'm saying here. It still stands in terms of what I'm trying to show you right now. This is Genesis 3, verse 20. Okay. I'm going to read from verse 19 a little bit. Adam called every living creature that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all the cattle and to the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found a help meet for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon him. Oh, I've got the wrong scripture. Apologies, guys. My bad, man. I'm on chapter 2. I could tell. I was like, wait, this ain't chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 20. Sorry. Chapter 3, verse 20. My bad, guys. I was reading it, I was like, this ain't it. This is not what I thought it was. Although that was also very important because that talks about name as well, right? About Adam naming stuff. But I don't want to go ahead of myself. Okay, Genesis 3, verse 20, verse 20, yeah. So there we go. Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. And unto Adam also and his wife did the Lord God make coats of skin, clothe them. Okay. Now, what's really important, again, what we see here biblically, is that names have meaning. So, first and foremost, to any parent out there, I don't want to hear you call your children calamitous. What's this nonsense I'm hearing? Sometimes we've been making up names for nonsense. I'm like, you making up this name. What does this name even mean? Does it have a meaning? Did you, when you gave this person this made up name, you created a whole new name? Did it mean anything? And if it did mean something, what is the name of it? Right? Because what you'll realize is there's a guy in the Bible, what's his name? Jabez. Jabez was a son that was conceived in a place where his mom was in pain, and she named him Jabez to mean pain. And so he had to go and pray that God, let me not cause anybody pain. You see, the name you give that person comes with an intention, and that is going to speak over their life. It's going to form part of their identity, and it's going to cause a direction of their life, how it's going to go. You cannot underestimate the name you're about to give. Some of you be enjoying names because I can't wait to name my baby. I can't wait to name my baby, because all you really want is to have the enjoyment of designing your baby. Babies are not to be designed, right? Babies are not to be designed. There is an intentionality in the name that you give. The name that my father gave me, he intentionally said, this is what I want to do. And what I've realized is how much now in my present state, how much I've wanted to come back to my Ghanaian roots. Now, it's taking me a little while. To me a little while, but now I want to identify with the Ghanaian culture. I want to identify with the principles that we often live by as Ghanaians. I'm very much chill like a Ghanaian. If you meet me back up, my bum is like a Ghanaian. You know, my height is Ghanaian. You know what I mean? Like the way that I talk, you see that sometimes. Like a lot of those things, I started to realize I started forming into that identity. Okay, so these names that are given are part of that identity. What name did you give your son? What name did you give your daughter? Because this is going to be a very important thing. But we're focused on the men again, and focus on young boys and young men as well. So the name being important, the name being important. So many of you don't really know this aspect. I had a conversation with my father about this as well. Okay, I had a father. My name. Let me give you my name. Okay, my name is Kojo Bonsu. Okay. So although that's not my full name, but this is one of my names. The Bonsu is a middle name. And I'm choosing this name. Let me even make it properly actually, because I'm half giving the name of what it is. Okay. All right. Now, this is part of my middle name, right? The Bonsu Ase is a middle name, right? Cool. That's what we're gonna be knowing my government name now. But the reason why I mention this is because there's a backstory to this. And part of this name is formulating my identity. Oof, this is gonna be tough because some of y'all, I need you to understand this, okay? I want you to understand that from the womb, the moment that the child is conceived, your intentions towards that child, how you feel towards that child is going to govern part of how they're going to feel when they come out the womb, and it's going to push them in a certain direction in terms of what they feel is an identity. Okay? Now, let me give you this. I had a conversation with my father, and I said to him, so talk to me about this name Bonsu. What is it? What does it mean? And he said to me, the Bonsu name, he told me a story, and I'm probably going to paraphrase the story. He said, some time back ago, you know, in I think they're Santi tribes and stuff, there was a man called Bonsu. And Bonsu was, this guy was the first person, I'm sure it was anecdotal, you know what I mean? He was the first person out of the tribe to go into the water. Because before this time, the tribes were scared of going into the water because it looked like the water was on fire. The heat that we have in Ghana, the water, and you know, Accra in Ghana, which is the capital city, is it's quite close to the water. I mean, it's super close. I was like, whoa, I didn't realize how close the water was to sea. Like, yo, it is not that far. You are walking it. Like, you are walking it. You know what I'm saying? You are walking to the beach. Like, you ain't that far. So he was talking about the fact that the tribes were scared to walk into the water and get into the water because it looked like the water was on fire. Right? But then he said that the young man said to the tribe one day, I'm going to walk into the water. And everyone was like, oh, No, 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 no. You can't walk into the water. No, you can't walk into the water. The water will burn you. Yeah, the water will do you. When you get deeper, you will see something will take you away. You will die. He said, "No, I'm gonna do it. 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 Don't worry, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it." He told the tribe. It gets to a point. One day, the day has come. Drums. They cease. The young man walks towards the water. He dips his toe into the touch of the water. He touches it again, just to see. There's a slight touch again. A slight touch again. Okay, I think I can do this. Then he walks into the water step by step by step by step. And everybody's watching him. And he gets waist deep. And he says, "See, there's nothing to fear." The drums go again. They say, "Bonsu, you are as brave as a whale. You are as brave as a whale. You are as brave as a whale." They start chanting. "Bonsu is as brave as a whale." Now, let me tell you something. Why am I telling you this story? Because there was something else that happened, right? Then my dad told me, and someone said it here, right? Someone said it actually here. And my dad told me, listen, he says, anybody that's in a family called Kojo Bonsu, they make money. Look, let me tell you something. I'm telling you, the power of names is important because it also helps to identify what that child will also end up being or potentially being, right? He says to me, all the Kojo Bonsus in the family, they make money. And at this age, I'm like 13, 14. I'm like, all right, I ain't even got a job. I mean, I don't know what I want to do. All right, cool. We're going to be rich. Okay. With my mediocre life that I'm living now, we're going to be rich. Okay. Right. So now he says that it stuck with me the whole entire time. Kojo Bonsus are always rich. Kojo Bonsus are always rich. Okay. They're always rich. All right, cool then. If that's the case, all right. I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. All right, cool. So two things happen. Okay, remember, Bonsu is brave, but when you add the Kojo Bonsu, they're going to be rich. All right, cool. So many people in the UK know me for going up against what we call pastors, okay, in the kingdom of God. Because when I became a Christian and I gave my life to Christ, I became a child of God as my identity. One of the things that I said to God when I came, I said, when I become a Christian, I do not want to sit in the pews. I like to war, so put me where the war is. That's basically what I said. I want power, put me where the war is. At this point in time, I'm thinking it's me saying it. And when I look back and I go, why would I ask for that? Why would I ask God to put me where the war is? Listen, I don't like fighting physically. I mean, I got a bit of a sharp tongue, but that's about it. I really don't like beef. I don't like feeling uncomfortable. I don't like feeling like I'm having beef with people. That's not my thing. So what am I talking about? What am I talking about? Something in that moment made me say those words. I said, what's this? I said it. Didn't take long, a few years down the line, I found myself in a place where I'm challenging pastors about the word of God. I'm saying, that don't make sense to me. I don't think that's the word of God. I don't think that's biblical. Right? So many people in the UK know me because I was challenging certain pastors and I believe they're false rhetorics. Right? Now, I'm not just talking about pastors that are, maybe here. I'm talking about nationally challenging people where I'm like, I don't think that's true. And I gained a reputation for it. And people are like, you're brave, how'd you do it? Like, I want to say it, but you know what? I don't have the strength to say it. You're brave, you're brave, you're brave. And what's happening again? Bonsu, you're as brave as the whale. Remember, I haven't really thought about this Brave the Whale story. It's not in my mind like that, bro. It's not in my mind like that. I'm not living every day in my life going, you're brave as a whale, Kojo. You're as brave as a whale. I don't live my life like that. I get on, I move, and I do what I do. But what you don't realize is your identity so quickly is tied by not only your name, but what you've been told, what has been said about you, what you've taken in as information. Do you understand how important it is? That's what I'm saying. Young men in their young years, it is important to have good male role models. Do you get me? So I started asking myself, why do I have the bravery to challenge false narratives in the kingdom? I mean, you have to understand, like, to challenge somebody or to challenge a church and say what you're teaching is wrong is crazy, because there are so many people that believe that. So challenging is like you're going crazy. But why do you challenge it? Because the same reason why Bonsu walked into the water and they chanted, brave as a whale. This is not me boasting. This is me telling you what I'm letting you know about having male leadership, how important it is to have input from males. If you have a certain type of male, you end up becoming certain type of male because those are the influences you have. Right? This is key. Right? This is key. Now, yes, I know. And Kevin Samuels is exactly what I'm talking about. People fall in prey because they don't have that male figure, a good sturdy one, how quickly they can fall into ideologies and false ideologies at that. False ideologies at that. You know? But back onto what I'm saying. So that part, Bonsu, the brave, certified. Now, you guys already know, I've already told you in the last 2 years what I've spoken about in terms of uh, finances. Let me tell you something really, really quickly. Okay. I got into banking maybe 2015, retail banking, nothing crazy. All right, got into that. Then I went into wealth management banking. Again, I was still below what we would call, I mean, technically we're above it. I was slightly above what we call the national average salary. Okay. I was on like 28K a year. Okay. Now I spent a year in that job and I had a dream one day when I was praying. As I was praying, I had a dream. I had a vision. I heard God. Let me be honest with you. Okay. Now, if you're not a Christian, please just stick with me. It still applies to you. Okay. Maybe God might not, maybe it might not be God that speaks to you, but situation will speak to you. I was walking in Tesco's as I was praying and praying about my finances, which I've been praying for the last 5 years or 6 years or whatever. I heard him say, you will come into money. There we go. I'm like, bro, it's lovely that you're saying that right now, but I'm not seeing it. But I knew what he said in that moment was absolutely true. Then I started having dreams where people were giving me money. I remember at one point I went to somewhere and I stole £5,000. I don't know why I stole £5,000. I just started dreaming. I started having dreams about money. Now you have to understand, I don't really like money like that. I get scared of it because of what I've been taught. We'll talk about that another day. That's another discussion about what my father taught me about money. Even though he actually didn't teach me anything, I learned from watching him. But I didn't really like money. And so what I heard in that moment was, and what I saw in my dreams, I started seeing, and these visions were money. Now I'm linking it back because it's not about the money, it's about the identity. The Kojubonsus are what? Rich. And when I started coming into money through YouTube and doing coaching and doing things, people started paying me for gym. Brother, I was going to gym and people asked me, train me in the gym, and they were paying me. I was like, what the fuck is going on? People are paying me to write a letter. What's going on? What's going on? What's really going on here? I didn't understand. Right? I didn't understand. Now, Here and what people don't realize is from about 10 years old, I actually started doing businesses when I was 10. I started selling stuff at school. I started making money through that way. And then I stopped a little way because I got scared that people were trying to rob me. But it is another story for another day, right? I started, my behavior started to line up with my name. Do you see? My behaviors then started aligning with my name. And then so I had a conversation with my father and I said, Dad, why the heck, as I can see it happening to me now, why didn't you name us all Kojo Bonsu? What's this? Why didn't you name us all Kojo Bonsu? Hmm? Why didn't you all call us Kojo Bonsu? I don't get it. Why did you not name all the 4 children Kojo Bonsu, Kodwina Bonsu, Kwajo Bonsu? You know, do you see what I'm saying? And so that's where I started to. I was like looking at it, I was like, that why you robbed them of the opportunity. You robbed them. You gave me the name, but then you robbed them, right? And he said to me, he said to me, that's the name that I gave you. If you feel like he said to me, listen, not everyone can do what you can do. That's the name I gave to you. That's what I believed there was a name for you. That was the name I believed that you're meant to have. And I gave you that name. So now in my head, my next job is to now make sure that even though I'm Kojo Bonsu, I'm not the only one winning. I'm not the only one winning. Because that's my ethos. But the power of the name, again, is identifying with who I am. This is why it's so important that the name you give these children and the name that these young men come into. Why do you think? Let me give you an example. You want to know the power of identity and name? In gangs, we were all young before. What was your tag name? If you got a tag name in your younger years, type it downstairs in the chat. Type it in the chat. If you had a tag name, you know what I'm talking about. You had a tag name. Let me type my tag name in the chat. I want it to in the chat. Tell me your tag name. Okay, tag names. I want to hear your tag names. Let me give you mine. Okay, Fireblaze. That was my tag name. Fireblaze. That was my tag name. Fireblaze, my tag name. Give me your tag names. There's 163 of you guys in here. First of all, like the video and then give me your tag name if you had one. Yeah, you had a tag name. What was your nickname that you would go by? You know, you sometimes you had another name you go by. Give me your name that you had banned. Put it in the chat. Maybe the girls didn't do as much as the boys. You know, some of you that didn't do that. Sorry, tag. Apologies. Americans say nickname. Apologies. UK, we say tag name. Spray your tag. Apologies. So give us your nickname that they gave you. Because we have nickname in UK, but we also have tag name. Like nickname for us in UK would mean someone that gives you that name. But a tag name is what you give yourself. You ascribe it to yourself. Yeah. So let's see what your names are. Some of you are killing me. Oh man. Okay. Nicknames for some of you guys. Someone said Chuckles. I want to know, Ayo, I want to know first and foremost, Chuckles, were you chuckling all the time? Why were you called Chuckles? Give me the reason why you were called Chuckles. Okay. Someone said Energy Starter. I want to know why you were called Energy Starter. Someone said Slim. I want to know why they called you Slim. Sunshine. Give me the reason why they called you Sunshine. Latoya Thompson said Bulldog. Ah! Why do they call you Bulldog? I want to know why they call you Bulldog. Lefty Love. Oh, okay. Let me know why you call Lefty Love. We don't need to know why I don't think you need to describe it, but you can describe it if you need to. Big Batty Gal, we love it. We love it. She said Big Batty Gal. Okay, no problem with that. Let us know why you're Big Batty Gal. I mean, you don't have to. We kind of know. Wart. AW, I want to know why are you Wart? What's Wart? I want to know what that even means. Wart. Okay. Another round says Slim, 6-pack, Shorty, Vanilla. Okay, couple of names round. Okay. Someone said Kentucky Fry. I need to know. Some of you need to tell these stories. I need to know why. Someone says Sexual Chocolate, Smiley. Okay. I'm loving this. Someone said Pharrell. Okay. Latoya told us the reason why she was called that is because she can fight. Woo! She had hands, people. She had hands. Okay. Wart is a play on my last name. Okay, cool. Love that. Someone said Meathead. Love that. Okay, that's the meathead was the name. Okay. Someone said tropical present. Oh my God, some of these names. Okay. All right. Okay. I like it. I like it. All right. Someone said, okay, so before you called Sade, you literally called yourself princess. I'm guessing Sade means princess. I got a little bit spit my side there. Boy, coach, be careful. I'm guessing princess means Sade and Sade means princess. I don't know. Okay, cool. Someone said tempest and what it means. Okay, cool, fantastic. I love this. Love this. Arcs Tempest, Arcs Tempest. Okay, cool. All right. Ayo said, I like to make jokes and make others chuckle. Love that. Okay, so these nicknames that you were given, did you live up to the nicknames? The nicknames that you were given, did you live up to the nicknames? Right? Did you live up to these names that were given you? The meanings that were ascribed to these nicknames, did you live up to that identity? Right? Did you live up to that identity? The name that you put there, did you live up to that identity? That should tell you the influence of what a name is. The power of ascribing yourself a name is that it becomes an identity for you. So a young man who then gives himself a new name, or he finds himself in a certain group, they give him a new name, there is a new identity. This is why it's important, not only the birth name, but also what he also calls himself. This is why women say they're the prize. This is why men say we're kings. We say these names because you will ascribe these attributes to that person and they should live up to it as an identity. Right? The power of a name. The power of a name. For young men, this is so important. I mean, for young women too. But young men, this is crucial. Crucial. You know, there's a thing that we have. You guys might see it. In fact, you have it in your music. You see young baby, young gunner, I don't know what of young this, young that, basically. And basically, the young this means you are the baby version of the main version, right? You know what I'm saying? You have these young this, young that, young this, basically saying that you're the younger version of the bigger version, right? But what they're saying is, I'm going to ascribe. Oh, it's the baby. My bad, young baby. I just call it young baby. You know what I mean? I was trying to figure out some words, but they're trying to ascribe their attributes of the bigger version to themselves, right? So when you give your son the name David Jr., David is supposed to act like the David of bigger. Your name gives ascription. It gives description for potentially the identity that child's going to have. Now, if you give a child a particular name, right? If you give a child a particular name where it has negative connotations, what you're really saying is that child now must do work when they grow up to undo the negative stigma and the negative aspects and descriptions that are attached to that name. And this is going to bleed into the conversation that you guys might have seen. I heard that I spoke about a few days ago, where I said, my dad told me, don't let the woman name the child. And what I was understanding was there are certain members of families, there are certain members within families, you do not name your child after that person. It does not matter how much that person's a family member, how much they love your wife, how much they love you even. It doesn't matter. You don't give your child that name. You don't say, oh, you take the middle name of my auntie. If your auntie's got bad character, you do not give that child its name. Right? You do not do it. You do not do it because that child will take on those aspects. I'm not saying, and remember, I'll go deeper into it when I talk about this. I'm not just talking about not letting your wife name it. I'm not saying that anymore. You will hear my true thoughts on that. What I'm giving you is the true juice of what he meant, what he should have been telling me, which is You don't name your child after anybody in the family who's got bad character, bad behavior, hasn't got their life together, doesn't know whether they're coming or going. You don't do it. Don't be sentimental because you're doing your child a disservice. Right? Don't do it. Don't do it. There is something spiritual, there is something physical, there's something emotional, there's something mental about giving a child a name that goes beyond what you can see. Don't do it. Don't do it. Identity. These young men in life are looking for identity. Right? You give your child a name and you are angry at that person. You don't like Donovan's, you gave your child a name of Donovan. Don't do it. I'm just saying Donovan. Or you give your son the name Kevin. You don't like Kevin. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yes, Sam. And this is very true. Some people do not walk in the steps of their fathers. You're absolutely right. But we're not trying to put that person in any position than they need to be in. Right? It's almost like, okay, so the difficulty of life, of real life, is that sometimes things even skip that immediate child. When we talk about generational things, right? Someone could, it can skip that generation, go to the next even. So you sometimes, yes, the junior that you have might not even follow in the footsteps of their father. They might not. They might not. They may not. Right? But I would say the common rule of thumb here is that naming somebody after someone who's got bad character is causing that child a deficit before they've even started. Because part of the identity is formed around the intention of that person's name. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, you know what I mean? Right? Given these names are very important. Anyway, back to my talk about this male identity, right? Yes. Okay. Let's talk about this. Okay. All right. This is important. All right, cool. Identity of where you're from. I know I've said this a little bit already, so I won't take too long on this. But the identity of where you're from is also very important. Okay. The identity of where you are from is also important. How many times do I hear, even African Americans specifically, because they talk about this a lot? I just want to know where I want to know where I'm coming from. Or they go back to Africa and they're like, I just feel at home. I feel like it makes sense now. You know, I've gone back to Africa and I know it makes sense now. You know what I mean? Or, I found that I'm part Nigerian. It makes sense now. Because the reality of it is that when you know where you're from, you can build an identity from it. When you don't know where you're from, you must build an identity from whatever you see around you. This is why you see Black British, Black Americans have similarities, but also vast differences. Our identities, based on what we have around us, due to what we've experienced, is vastly different. We have the Black experience, but the Black experience is experienced in different ways. Right? So, again, where you feel you're from, and I'm not saying everyone has to go back to Africa and find out they're from there. This is about finding out where you are from. And when you feel satisfied that you have your identity, you settle in it. You make peace with it. You flow with it. You're good with it. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that you have to go back, figure out if you're Jamaican, figure out you're African, figure out your Swedish and national. I'm not saying that. What I'm giving you is an example of when people realize where they're from, how they feel at peace with knowing where they're from. Right? So there is a natural affinity with oneself to want to identify. Let me give you another example. Biblically, Moses, being a Jew, well, technically, I mean, yeah, being a Jew, yeah. Moses, being a Jew, was raised in a house of Egyptians. What people don't realize, because when we read deep, when you read much more, when you read correctly into the Bible and you read the story correctly, you'll realize that he was raised by his sister and I think his mother. Although his mother pushed him down a stream, his mother was also in the house of Egypt that found him. And the Pharaoh's wife said to the maiden hand, "You look after him and raise him up for me." Sorry about that, my mic went there. The difficulty of the identity for Moses was he was a Jew living in Egypt. How do I operate? That was less about his identity and then more about how do I govern myself in this land. Because the reason why he killed the Egyptian was because he sided with the Jew. He already made his bed. It was just about how do I operate in Egypt being a Jew and not letting people know I'm a Jew. How do I operate? How do I move? And when he then killed the Egyptian, it made his identity absolutely sealed. At that point, there's no going back. You've become a Jew fully. You are now ostracized from here. Right? But then when he sets in motion that issue where he kills the Egyptian and has to leave, what does that also set in motion? His journey. That now sets the path of his journey. Why am I saying this? Because young men, when they identify where they're from, or should I say who they're from, the journey begins. The journey begins of self-discovery, shaping, then in turn taking to shape who you are. This is so crucial, right? So now Moses goes into another area, ends up marrying another woman, okay, who wasn't actually a Jew. She was a priestess. She was a daughter of a priestess. Ends up marrying, having children, and then sees a burning bush. Sees a burning bush, and then God says, "You need to go and do what I've told you to go and do." Journey begins. Journey begins. Journey begins. Right? Then his journey begins to go and what? Free my people. Let my people go. Right? The identity of where you're from is crucial. And a lot of times what happens is, not even just young men, people in general, we ignore this part of us. It's easier to do that than to search for where I'm from. We can live with not knowing that. Right? But where you're from can inform about who you are. Yes. Okay. So, because we're coming up to an hour almost now as well. Okay. So, one thing I want to say about this, and I talked about because it was identity. Um, absolutely right as well. You can be 37 looking for a father. Many of those were looking for fathers in the manosphere, so it makes sense, right? So let me focus this part on the manosphere a little bit as well, and talking about identity. Okay, manosphere identity. Okay, manosphere identity. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. The manosphere identity, red pill community identity, whatever you want to call it themselves. There were many men mourning at the passing of Kevin Samuels. saying my dad has passed. My father that I never had has passed. You know, my mentor I never had has passed. The influence I had in my life has passed. Many men in the manosphere had made Kevin Samuels their father figure. And the problem with fathers and sons is sons tend to emulate their fathers. Jesus said it himself. I only do what I see my father do. This is good psychological principle. Jesus said, I only do what I've seen my father do. I've only spoken about what my father has already told me. Do you see how quickly a son takes on what a father is? If many men made themselves to be sons of Kevin Samuels and the Red Pill community and Manosphere community and made these men father figures, they will easily follow suit in the same rhetoric and in the same fashion. But why did they go to him in the first place? What were they looking for? Identity. Who am I? What am I? Who am I and what am I? They were searching for identity. Then they found their identity in an older male who seemingly was able to tell other people or other women what it was. Sorry, if someone said they don't know what a manosphere is, the manosphere is basically a community of men where they like to hold women accountable. It's a manosphere sphere is a place where men can gather together, talk about real issues, but what ends up happening is they end up talking about how they want to hold women accountable most of the time. And also as well, to be fair, how men should improve themselves physically, mentally, they talk about emotionally, but I've never really heard anyone talk about emotions, emotionally, and financially. They talk about improving those aspects as men, right? To be better. Okay. So that's part of the manosphere. So because they were searching for identity, they found themselves at the doorstep of Kevin. The power of a father figure in their lives was shaping them, defining them, and was guiding them. Because that's what a father does to a son. And so now you see how important it is a father figure to be involved. Or a male figure who's older, has good reputation. Because he then has influence over those young men. Right? So for me, I want to produce content now that will speak to some young men. Hopefully, they will see me as someone that is sensible, but also understands them too. You know? But there's a lot to be said about your identity. Who am I and what am I? You got to figure that out as a young man. That's something you got to figure out. I remember as a young man, my dad always, you know, one of his favorite things is don't complain. Men don't complain; they get on with it. Men don't complain; they get on with it. You don't have time to complain. Get on with it. You know what I mean, right? This literally is what my dad said. Don't complain. Get on with it. As a man, don't complain. Get on with it. There's no time to complain. Right? Yeah, he did say the men. He didn't necessarily say men don't. Yeah, he did. He did say that once or twice. He did say once or twice. He said the men don't cry. He said men don't cry. Men don't cry. But it was more of a case of I never saw him cry than actually him saying it. It was more of a case of him saying stop crying now. It's okay. You've cried enough. Let it go. You know, those kind of things rather than him saying specifically men don't cry. But it was watching him and never crying that I realized, okay, we don't cry then. It was watching him and seeing, several different things. I'll give you 8 things that I witnessed, and there's 100 things I could list down. But as an ending note on this thing, I'll give you 8 things that I want to say that I observed. Okay, one of those things. Let me take that off as well. Um, 8 things I observed. Okay, so 8 things I observed. One of those things that I observed was he could cook, but wanted my mom to cook. Yo, I'm still flying at this, man. This nigga, I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say the nigga, I shouldn't. This man could cook. I mean, he could cook. He could throw down. He was even working as a chef at one point. Family, he could cook. But he always said, I married your mom so she can cook. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I always remember that. I mean, I don't agree with it, but that's what I remember observing him and seeing that. Said that, right? You know? I remember him saying that. Number 2, he said, I saw him, he worked hard, and if he needed to work 2 or 3 jobs, he would, right? This is probably in the early days when he first came to the country, probably when I was probably young, about 5 or 6. I remember him working 2 or 3 jobs. I remember him working as a cleaner. I remember him going into chefing. He was doing other things as well, trying to hustle to get money. That made me realize he is working very, very hard. That's hard work. As Ghanaians, especially as Africans, we know hard work. You must work hard. Really, you should work smarter than you work hard, but you must work talent. Hard work can beat talent when hard work is applied. You know what I mean? If you're lazy with your talent, hard work gonna beat you. It's important to understand that hard work is needed, but you must also work smarter. But that's another story for another day. But I saw him work hard. So work ethic, yes, work ethic. I saw that demonstrated. I saw that, saw late nights. And I want to tell you something as well. Your kids see all of this. He didn't tell me he was working nights. I saw it. I perceived it. I watched it. I heard the door latch open 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm opening my eyes like a young kid, like, and I'm seeing my dad come in the house. I've seen that. I know what it is. Right? So you observe it and you learn it. You don't realize this. I know another thing I noticed, his love for God. Right? His love for God. Right? It's important to understand that his love for God also influenced me, that later on in life, the Bible says, train a child in the way to go and he will not depart from it. God said, I know Abraham, I'm going to give you the blessing of generations because I know you will make sure, right? You will make sure that you will teach your sons and teach your children and your seed to love me. So I can entrust you with this blessing of generations. And same thing I saw. The thing that Father passed down was the love of God down to me. Now, I didn't fully understand it, but I got to a point and I did understand it. And I gave my life to Christ much later on, but still, there were conversations. I watched them. I remember as a kid, at one point, my mom and my dad were in the corridor just speaking in tongues, just rababo seke tapata. And I'm looking at them going, what's this? I wonder if I can speak in tongues. I wonder if I'll ever speak in tongues. And do you know what's so interesting? Right? Do you know what's so interesting as well? Okay, is that when um when I saw that, I remember one day I was in the corridor and I watched them speak in tongues, praying. Da da bro kaba kaba itala. They're praying hard, lebo bro kaba, and I'm like, I look at them and I say to them, and as a kid, I'm saying this. I'm telling you, look. I know I'm not the only one. I know there are kids out there making declarations over their life because of what they're seeing. This is why it's important what you do as a parent, right? This is why it's so important what kind of behaviors you show to your children, because I made a declaration at this day. I saw them in the corridor doing la bro ba 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 ba, and I said, I will never bring a child into this world unless I give my life to Jesus. I will never do it. Now, that might not mean nothing for anybody who's not religious or believe in Jesus, whatever. But I want you to understand, I said, I will never bring a child into this world unless I myself give my life to Jesus. At this point, I hadn't given my life to Jesus. I didn't even know what giving your life to Jesus was. I just know that I didn't want to bring a child in this world, and I didn't know who Jesus was. That's what I want to know. That's the declaration I made. So I'm trying to get you to understand that it may not be that the child will see you praying, but they may see how you love your husband, or your husband loves his wife, or how the father shows love to the mother, or how the father takes out the daughter, or how takes out the mother, or how the mother serves the father. Whatever it is, that child is going to see something and makes a declaration. We all do. We all make declarations, good or bad. Some of us will say the way that our parent treated the other parent will say, I will never let a man treat me this way. I will never let a girl talk to me rude like the way I saw my mom talk to my dad. Never. Man made a declaration. After he makes a declaration, that young man or that young lady, after that point, everything is going to be nailed to that declaration they've made. And until they undo that declaration by changing their behaviors and undoing what they've said, they will continually to abide by that declaration. Do you see? So what you are showing your children is so important. How many times you hear a rapper say, I made a declaration, I want to make sure I buy my mom a house and a car. I made sure that I was going to do that for her because I saw the sacrifices she made. That child made a declaration. Children make declarations. So whatever you're showing them is so important. Don't forget it. Question is to you, male or female watching this, or sorry, woman or man, young boy, young girl watching this, what declaration have you made already? Good or bad? Go back and review it. What declaration have you made already? Maybe you said, I will never marry a woman like my mom. I will never marry a man like my father. What declaration is it? Review it to make sure that you haven't said something against yourself that will impact you negatively in future. Right? Next thing. Never saw my father. Number 4. Never saw my father cry. Never saw my father cry. I saw my father cry on 2 occasions. 2 occasions. One at a movie. I remember looking at him. I said, "This man is so soft." Crying at this movie. I saw a little tear come down his eye, roll down his eye. He's emotional about the movie. To one day it was me. To one day it was me. Yeah. And then I cry a lot. I cry a lot at movies. I listen. I am emotional. Hey, when it comes to films, I'm just gonna be honest with you and real with you. I'm there with the. Hey, this is a lot, Rav. Bro, listen. Let me tell you something. People don't know. I get emotional over any film, bro, that's got any ounce of emotion in. Any emotion that's got like even if they're super like even was it I remember I cried at Pokemon, the very first movie that came out. I said they got Pikachu like this. They did my man wrong, right? I'm telling you, I listen, and that's even years ago. Even now I do it. I watch a TV series, and it's someone might say it's not even that deep, but for me, you didn't feel the emotion that person. You just see how hard they work to get to that place. Nah, man. No, 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 no. And you know when you're crying to a point that you're telling yourself, "Hey, man up, man. Why are you crying like that?" You're even trying to fight the tear, but now you're fighting. You're fighting yourself for saying it. You're like, let it out, coach, let it out. But at the same time, like, nah, nah, nah. But like this, oh, it's tough. You know what I mean? But I saw him cry one time at a movie, and then the other time I saw him cry, whereas another situation, I won't go too deep into it because, like I said, another time I saw him cry was when my mom had an episode. because if you guys already know, I've already said she's uh suffers with schizophrenia. When she had an episode, and she basically like ran away. Okay, basically ran away because the episode made her wanted to flee. Um, that time, that is the cry that I saw was the I've never seen him cry like that ever, ever. He said, "I don't know what to do." Let me tell you something. When a man gets to a point where he normally answers every problem with a solution, he knows how to solve things, knows how to do things, get things sorted, has been through tough times, and then he tells you, you can see it right there. He says, I don't know what to do. And I looked at him and I said, I didn't even say anything. And I knew in that moment I should probably give him a hug, but he had never taught me that. Do you see what I'm saying? So even though in that moment I wanted to go, let me give him a hug, I knew that I said, let me not. I just put my hand on his shoulder and I said, Dad, we'll figure this out. That's as much as I could say. That's as much as I could say. Because he hadn't taught me to hug him like that. So for me, I was just gonna be like, well, he didn't taught me this, so I don't want to do that. It feels weird to do that. I'ma just, you know, I'ma just, you know. So he said, I don't know what to do. And I was young, so I don't know what to say. If I'm young, I'm like, bro, I've never seen this before. I've never experienced this before. I've never gone through this before. Like, how do you deal with your mom having an episode and she runs away? How do you deal with it? I don't know. How do you deal with it? I don't know. You're like, you know what I mean? You're like 14, 15. You don't know what to do. You don't know. And these are some of the stuff that young men are going through. You know what I mean? At least I had my father figure there. I had my dad there, and in his head, he's like, after he had that moment where he's sitting there, I remember exactly where I was. He was sitting on the stairs, literally on the stairs, and he just went, Coach, I don't know what to do. And you're just looking at, I don't know. As a kid, you you live life as a kid. You don't worry about these issues because that's what your parents do. They protect you from these kind of things. But my eyes saw it. Do you see? So imagine now you're a child or a young boy or young girl who's dealing consistently with a parent figure who is not around or is not emotional or doesn't know how to behave as a parent. I had a good experience as a child. I had a very good experience. It was only to the later part of it, which it still affects me because I can be emotionally I knew that I had to kind of deal with my emotional unavailability. But there are young men, some of you out there who you have a parent. Maybe you're going through something similar to me. Maybe you had a parent that is maybe not even maybe mental illness might be mental health might be an issue. Maybe you've got a parent that's even addicted to drugs. Maybe you've got a parent that's not there. It's so tough because, like I said, that those years are your building years of what you are supposed to sculpt your identity on. Right? Yes, monokine. It's like your childhood has been interrupted, and there are and this is the thing that young men, their reaction to some of these things is so much more different. The testosterone that runs through us, um, the way society gives us um, a free pass as men, we can tend to lash out in the world rather than looking at solving the issue. Where oftentimes what you see with women, especially, is this codependency. Like if their parent is gone absent or there's a drug addicted parent or whatever, often what I've seen, I'm not saying it's conclusively thingy, it's just what I've seen, and I may be wrong as well. So just say it's my personal opinion. I often see ladies go into more codependency. With men, they tend to go into this wild motion of just thrashing out. And the reason, again, there are different reasons why, but the effect of not having that solid male figure in their life is a problem, very big problem, because there's no sturdy rock, right? We talk about men being leaders, fathers are leaders of homes. When that father's unstable, it leads the house to be unstable. Do you know what I'm saying? So not having that father figure really can mash up the thing. Can really mash up the thing. And as our sister said, it is like your childhood was interrupted for a lot of young men. So some of you young men are listening to this right now. I know, by the grace of God, I know the ladies on my chat have sent this to young men who need to hear this. You might be going through something right now, and it's easier to lash out because you're angry, you're frustrated, you're in pain, it hurts, and you'd rather lash out than deal with the actual pain that you're feeling right now. I'm gonna tell you this now. You lashing out, bro, it ain't gonna do you good in the long run. We need to find a good solution and balance of you being able to exercise how you're feeling. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to not have all the answers at your age. It's okay to not know how to handle exactly how to progress going forward. Right? It's okay. I'm with you. I hear you. No one understands where you're coming from, bro. I got you. Not even I. I get you. You're going through some things that, you know, no one else really gets. Yeah? They don't feel the pressures that you're feeling. I'm hearing you. They're not seeing the things you're seeing. Right? They're not on the line like you're on the line every day. I'm with you. Right? I'm with you. But when we focus on thrashing out, when we focus on thrashing out, the end result isn't positive for you and I as men. The end result isn't positive for you and I. Right? It's not positive for you and I when we thrash out the way we do. So, young men out there, your masculinity is not defined by how hard you can punch. It's not defined by the guns you can bang. It's not defined by the drugs you can slay or sell. It's not defined by how much money you're going to make. It's not defined by how many women you can sleep with. It's not defined by how hard you are in them streets. It's not defined by how much of a bully you can be to people. It's not defined by that. If that's what your masculinity is defined upon, you're going to find out real quick. It don't last long. It doesn't end in a positive manner for you and I. It doesn't end in a positive manner for any of us, right? My next point is life does not come easy. My final few points. Life is not easy, is what my dad taught me. Life is not easy. So don't treat it and expect life to give you it. It is going to be hard work. It's going to be hard work. Hard work. That's what life's about. Right? Someone asked, what is it about then? Masculinity. You want to talk about masculinity? Power, might, and responsibility, execution, protection, provision, priest. Masculinity really is about the provision, being a priest over your home or your family, but also being somebody who's responsible and knowing how you as a leader contribute not only to your family but to the community. Understanding that, right? It's not about the gang banging or doing these negative things to kind of show how much of a man you are. But for you as a man, it's the provision. Yes, it is. It's about the protection. It is about the priestliness. Yes, it is. But you have to also understand with great power comes great what? Responsibility. Responsibility is the word. Is the key word out of all of this. When we're talking about masculinity, responsibility. Because life has given you an advantage. Now, yes, I said life doesn't come easy. My next thing is whatever you do, do it well. Whatever you do it well. That's another thing my father told me. Whatever you do it well. And I always say this: even if you're going to be bad, at least if you're going to do it well. Okay. But whatever you put your hands to, do it well. One, so you don't have to do it a second time, and two, also because excellence is appreciated by everybody, no matter what color you are. You know, excellence is appreciated no matter what color you are. They can stop it for a while, but excellence is excellence, baby. Okay, they can stop it for a while, but excellence is excellence, baby. Okay, so whatever you do it well. And give others wise counsel. Give others wise counsel. And the final thing is, what is your dream? So those are just some of the points that I've shared with you guys about this topic here. We're talking about things that I've learned as a young man. This is episode 1. We will be back next week to discuss some more topics as well around this. We'll be talking the same time again, 6 p.m. We'll talk more about the fact that a man should dream. A man must dream. A man must dream. And I'll tell you some more stories of what my father told me about dreaming. It's important. So anybody out there, I hope you can pass this to another young male, pass it to another young man, pass it to a brother, a friend, an uncle, a nephew, a school class, whatever. Pass it to somebody else who needs to hear some positive stuff about being a man. I don't need to include women in this stuff about a man. Okay? All right? What us being a man has nothing to do with a woman per se. So let's focus on men and what we can be doing to help grow ourselves as well. Like it, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys' thoughts and your contributions in the chat. And hopefully we'll get some special guests in the coming weeks as well to kind of really speak to us about these topics as well. So if you're new to the channel, like it, share, subscribe. Click on that bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. All right? Much love. Little black, you know what time it is.